So I'm part of a big program that's working up in Greenland. We've had students, graduate students, postdocs, and faculty go up to Greenland multiple times during the summer season to collect water samples and sediment samples. And the goal of this work is to try and understand how the growth and the retreat of ice sheets in high latitudes might impact climate in the future and how it may have impacted climate in the past. In particular, we're looking at two very different parts of the system in Greenland. There are huge, beautiful rivers that drain the ice sheet itself. So the water comes off of the top of the ice and it comes out from underneath the ice in a process that's called subglacial outflow. And when it does that, it carries a lot of sediment because glaciers are tall. There's like over a mile of ice sitting on top of Greenland. And as that ice moves, it breaks up the rock into very small pieces. And that comes out in the water as it flows out from under the ice. Right now, the high latitudes are experiencing much more warming than the low latitudes. For example, the entire world is warming at a rate of about 1 degree Celsius, which is 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit. And the high latitudes are warming much faster, about 3 times faster. So they've warmed by about 6 degrees Fahrenheit. In particular, right now, one of the ideas is it has to do with the meltback of the ice. Ice is very bright and reflective, so as sunlight comes in, it tends to reflect back solar energy, which then prevents warming on the continent. Possible feedbacks have to do with the climate, with the carbon cycle and the carbon system, with greenhouse gases such as atmospheric CO2. As geologists, we look at systems that happen over very long time scales, and one of the major sinks for atmospheric CO2 is something that people aren't even aware of in most cases. And that is that as rocks break down physically into smaller and smaller pieces, it's possible for the water to interact with those rocks and chemically weather the rock. This process then takes CO2 out of the atmosphere, combines it with water to make something called carbonic acid that then actually dissolves minerals in the rock. And what we're trying to accomplish in Greenland is to collect water samples, study and understand what reactions are happening within those systems, and understand whether those are going to be processes that will help take up CO2 in the future as the ice sheet retreats, or whether there will be less weathering of these rocks in the future.